The neighbors would never forget the sound of tiny footsteps echoing in the empty hallway on the day she lost everything. "Papa, please come back," whispered little Alina, her fingers wrapped around the last photograph of her father as the funeral crowd slowly disappeared. The wind carried her words away as if even nature couldn't bear to witness her heartbreak. Before viewers could blink, the moment that would change her entire life forever began unfolding right there, on the same day she buried the only parent who truly loved her. If you're watching this, stay with this story till the end. It has a twist you wouldn't want to miss, and if it touches your heart, even a little, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more powerful stories like this. Alina's father, Horace, was a kind man, known for his honesty and gentle smile. After her mother passed away when she was 2, Horace raised her alone, doing everything to keep her happy. But life hardened after he remarried. The woman he chose, Samina, looked perfect on the outside, elegant, polite around guests, but what Horace never realized was the coldness she carried behind closed doors. She never wanted a child in her life, especially not one she hadn't given birth to. The house, once warm with love, became cold like stone. Horace tried to keep the peace, believing things would get better. But the illness that took him away came too fast, leaving Alina alone in the world with a woman who saw her as nothing more than a burden. Hours after his funeral, Samina dropped the act she had held for so long. The moment the last relative left, she walked into the living room with her arms crossed and eyes sharp like a knife. Alina still sat on the couch, clutching her father's sweater, trying to breathe through the pain in her chest. "You don't belong here anymore," Samina said flatly, without a hint of sympathy. Alina looked up, confused. "This is my home, Papa told me." "Your father is gone," Samina interrupted. "And so is your place here." Before the child could understand what was happening, 2 suitcases were thrown at her feet. Her clothes were stuffed inside messily, as if they were trash being taken out. Samina unlocked the door, grabbed Alina by the wrist, and dragged her outside as the little girl begged, cried, and trembled. "Please, Mama Samina, please don't do this," she cried. "I'm not your mother," she hissed and pushed her out into the cold night. The door slammed shut. Alina stood on the front steps, staring at the grand house that no longer welcomed her. The sky started to drizzle, and the cold drops mixed with her tears. She sat on the doorstep, hugging herself tightly, the street silent, the world feeling too big and too cruel. She didn't know that someone was watching. A sleek black car had stopped in front of the house minutes earlier. Inside sat a man with sharp eyes, a calm face, and an expression that rarely revealed his true emotions. His name was Zion Mirza, one of the youngest millionaires in the country. He had been Horace's closest friend from college and owed much of his success to the man who once helped him when he had nothing. Zion had come straight from the airport after missing the funeral due to a delayed flight. But the scene he witnessed outside the house froze him in shock. A little girl, alone, crying, bags thrown beside her, his hands clenched on the steering wheel. He stepped out of the car, his expensive shoes splashing into the wet pavement. Walking toward her slowly, he lowered his voice so he wouldn't scare her. "Alina," he said softly. Her wet eyes lifted, struggling to recognize the tall man in the dim light. But she remembered the familiar voice from the stories her father used to tell. "Uncle, Zion," she whispered. He knelt in front of her. "Why are you sitting outside in the rain? Where is Samina?" Alina lowered her head, her tiny fingers gripping the edges of her coat. She said, "I don't live here anymore." Zion's jaw tightened. Rain dripped from his hair as he stood up and marched to the front door. He rang the bell, hard. Samina opened it, annoyed. "Who?" Her expression changed instantly when she saw him. "Mr. Mirza, I wasn't expecting." "What are you doing?" Zion demanded, his voice firm but controlled. "You threw Horace's daughter out of her own home." She stuttered. I didn't mean." "You didn't mean," he repeated, stepping closer. "She is a child, a grieving child, and this is how you treat her." Samina tried to defend herself, but Zion raised his hand slightly. "Save your lies. Horace trusted you with her. And this is your repay." Samina shifted nervously, unable to meet his eyes. But then her greed kicked in. "Well, she's not my responsibility. She can go wherever she wants." Zion's face hardened with disgust. "She will," he said. "With me." He walked back to Alina, gently lifted her suitcase, and placed his coat around her shoulders. His movements were calm, protective, and patient, everything she had been deprived of. "Come with me, little one. You're not alone anymore." Alina hesitated. "But, where will I go?" "To a place where no one will ever throw you away," he answered. He held her hand, warm and steady. For the first time that day, she felt safe. Zion opened the car door and helped her inside. As the engine started, Alina looked back at the house. Not with longing, but with acceptance. She wasn't leaving home. She was leaving pain. The city lights blurred outside the window as Zion drove her to his mansion, a place twice the size of her old home, but filled with a warmth she could feel the moment she stepped in. The staff gathered, shocked to see the little girl. "This is Alina," Zion announced. "From today, treat her like family." Days passed, and Alina slowly healed. Zion became more than a guardian, he became the father figure she desperately needed. He helped her with schoolwork, attended every event, cooked breakfast on Sundays, and sat by her bed until she fell asleep on the nights she missed her father too much. But the real turning point came months later. Zion discovered that Samina had tried to sell Haris' property illegally. Furious, he took her to court, with evidence, witnesses, and documents Haris had once given him for safekeeping. In the courtroom, Zion held Alina's hand as the judge declared, "All of Haris Ahmed's property, assets, and home will legally belong to his daughter, Alina." Samina's face drained of all color. Everything she had schemed for slipped through her fingers like dust. But Alina, she didn't smile. She didn't celebrate. She simply looked up at Zion and said the words he never expected. "I don't want the house, I want a family." Zion knelt beside her and hugged her tightly. "And you will always have one. As long as I'm alive." The court later allowed Zion to legally adopt her. The news spread everywhere, a millionaire adopting his late friend's daughter, rescuing her from cruelty. Years passed, and Alina grew into a confident, brilliant young woman. Every achievement she made, she dedicated to her father and the man who stepped into her life when everyone else stepped out. And sometimes, when viewers hear stories like these, they remember that kindness doesn't require blood, just a heart willing to love. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more emotional and inspiring stories. Your support helps us keep creating content that brings hope, warmth, and strength to your day.